well, we got a confirmation that I was like, oh, by the way, so we got the video up and you can do a Skype and yeah, we had already set up a phone. So that's not a big deal.
One minute until broadcast.
That's not a problem at all. Do you have the full hour with us today? Fantastic. Very good. We'll be on the board and we'll be in here in just a few minutes. Hang tight. Oh, man. Yeah, buddy.
30 seconds till broadcast.
You guys are going to have a fun one.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, buddy, this is the Voice of Reason. Hey, welcome into it. It's a Tuesday. The post-Monday celebration is rolling along, and it's great to have you today as we hang out, do the thing each and every day, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here on the flagship station of the Big Talker, KQAM in Wichita, Kansas, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming. Doesn't really matter where you're at. Appreciate you hanging out with us today on a Tuesday, whether it's radio, TV, live streaming on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. We also have, I don't have it, I got to admit, I don't have it on the website yet at HooserReason.com. I can, and I'm going to get it on here momentarily. It feels like today I've been like behind the eight ball all day long. All day long. I've been chasing myself and chasing the projects all day, but we're at it, and I'm so excited. Show of hands. How many people watched the Democrat National Convention last night for day number 1? Yeah, what'd you think of that? All those great speeches. So there have been headlines all over social media today, all over the news, about what Michelle Obama said. Michelle Obama saying that we need to vote Joe Biden in like our lives depended on it. Voting for Joe Biden is the way to correct this nation. Getting rid of Trump, who is over his head. Getting rid of Donald Trump, who doesn't know what he's doing. It takes a lot of cognitive thought process in order to become president of the United States. I love how she says that while she's trying to pitch a Joe Biden presidency. I mean, that's a joke right there, right? The cognitive thought process that it takes in order to make tough decisions, have to think about issues, have to make the tough calls sometimes when you make a decision as president of the United States. She knows, right? Because she was first lady, but she was working alongside someone like Joe Biden, who doesn't know how to do anything other than write his speech on his arm with magic marker and still mess it up as he goes along with his speech, which is why he's had the softball questions tossed to him left and right. So I don't know what was so special about it. I mean, it's all over the headlines, all over the media, all over social media. Michelle Obama said this, Michelle Obama said that. And I sit back and I listened to it. I listened to it and I yelled at the screen the whole time I did the live streaming. But I listened to it and there was zero that was new that we haven't heard for the last 4 years. Donald Trump's incapable of being president. Donald Trump's a horrible human being. Joe Biden's going to unite us. Joe Biden's going to lead a great presidency. Joe Biden's going to do a great thing. That's all we heard. There was nothing new. So why even listen to it? And what did she bring to the table? And is it really doing the whole message that what they wanted of the uniting? I'm excited to bring our guest today, and he's going to be with us for the full hour because he breaks this stuff down better than I think anybody else. He has his predictions. He's been able to study elections for a really long time in this nation and to see where we're headed in this country. And did this Democrat National Convention, the kickoff of it last night, the continuation for the next couple of days, is this what's going to rally the Democrat Party to unite and to be able to move forward and potentially beat Republicans in a general election or against Donald Trump in the general election as well? You know him, you love him. We've had him on the show a few times, and every time we have him on, the podcast numbers soar, and I get some awesome feedback from what he has to say. He is the author of the latest book, Real World Socialism: Spiritual, Moral, and Economic Bankruptcy, sold by using false hopes and deceit. He also has great news for America and more great news for America. His website, greatnewsforamerica.com. He's Dr. Gerard Lamiero hanging out with us here on the line. Dr. Gerard Lamiero, how are you, my friend? It's good to talk to you.
I am doing terrific. It's great to be with you, and I'm really happy about how your program is taking off.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's blowing up. We are all the radio stations that we get more each and every day, but we are almost, when it comes to podcast downloads, we are almost in all 50 states right now, which is really cool. So we're seeing some nice growth on that. I'm excited to have you on here because we had you on a while back in talking about the general election, and as you follow the stats, you follow the numbers, you kind of have your predictions on what you're going to see in this general election. You've said that it's going to be a landslide victory for Donald Trump. With the choice, which we're going to get to in a little bit as well, with the choice of Kamala Harris on the ticket with Joe Biden, with the Democrat National Convention going virtual, are you still seeing that, and do you think that Donald Trump's still going to run away with this?
Yes, and in fact, the Trump side of the the Trump side of the election is actually gaining momentum and gaining votes, and the Democrats are losing them. Harris was a poor choice. She was not well liked. She had the fewest number of Democrat supporters in the primary and caucus. She withdrew before even the Iowa caucuses. That's something when you withdraw that early. I think she peaked at 3%, which is pretty darn low. And you have her running with somebody who ran for president multiple times, and each time didn't get past first base, literally. And he only got into the White House indirectly by becoming vice president for someone else who was able to win.
Sure.
So we have a ticket here that's particularly weak. I think people are now no longer kind of hiding their thoughts. They're saying he sounds demented. Person with dementia can't sometimes throw together sentences that make sense. He has that problem. He stutters and says things that are outrageously wrong. And that, he had a big thing today about talking about abortion for men. And you sort of think, how many men need abortions? But he wants to make sure they have them.
Wow. Well, you know what? As long as men are able to have abortions, and I think that's a winning ticket right there for every Democrat out there. I don't get it. And you're right. Let's talk about Kamala Harris for a second. When she announced it, that was my first response, was that she had a 1 to 2 to 3% approval rating during the presidential bid. She didn't have a whole lot of momentum and support. This kind of reminds me, though, however, of the 2008 John McCain-Sarah Palin election, where John McCain was the weak candidate, where he didn't really have a whole lot of momentum. He was trying to distance himself from the party and be something new, but yet he was trying to be the same. He'd been there for years. So you bring in the young, attractive girl to try and flash it up a little bit and try and rally the base, and she would actually have more turnout at the rallies than what he would in order to try and rally. And it didn't work, but that was their last desperate attempt of, we want to bring in the radical, crazy fringe of the base plus the moderate part of the base, and we want to try and rally this to be uniting and try and bring some excitement to the ticket. And it didn't work. But I see Kamala Harris like that as well, except there's less support for Kamala Harris than there was for Sarah Palin back in 2008 because she had already tried this, as you mentioned, and it failed miserably. Is that kind of the same comparison we're seeing here?
Well, actually, you make a very good analysis there. It's a very good comparison. And the comparison in particular, and the reason he may have picked her, is because she is considered radical. She had the most radical voting record in the Senate last year. And that means the leftists, progressives, the people who are handling Joe Biden and trying to get him in office are really picking the president because they probably figure he's not going to last long. He may only make it through the inauguration, and then they invoke the 25th Amendment. So they are picking the president. with this person, and this is a person who's tried and true radical left. She's not moderate. The people who are trying to say she's moderate are just playing games with the facts because she's radical, and we can go through thing after thing that makes her radical.
Well, no, I mean it's evident. I mean, in the media, the fact that they're trying to play it off as well, she's moderate, and that the Republicans aren't going to be able to tough time to target a way to attack her because she's really moderate, and they're trying to pawn her off as progressive and as radical. I mean, it's silly for them to try and defend her as such when she was voted by their own national polls that she was the most progressive senator in Congress last year.
Yeah. There's another analogy I'm going to make for your listeners, and that is she's a lot like the McGovern VP pick, Thomas Eagleton, who actually hurt the ticket quite a bit that year, in 1972, when they ran against Nixon. And he had been treated, in those times it was considered very negative to have gone through shock therapy for a mental illness. And so he wound up dropping off the ticket because he was such a drag on the ticket. But that really set them back then. And I think she's setting people back now. She's setting Biden back. Rasmussen, a couple of days ago, came out with some numbers. They did polling, of course, and I think Rasmussen is one of the better pollsters, a little more on the accurate side. And Rasmussen found that among black American voters, 1 out of 3 were less likely to vote for Biden because of Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
That's not what you want.
That's not what you want, but that's what they were going for. So my question is, who are they trying to pander to then? Because they thought that bringing on a female would help with the female vote. Bringing on a minority would help with the black and Hispanic vote because, Joe Biden obviously has made some terrible comments when it comes to the black community is less diverse than the Hispanic community, or if you vote for Trump, then you ain't black. I mean, all these ridiculously racist and derogatory remarks to different communities that they're trying to pander to. So they bring in a minority woman to win that over, but she's not black. She's Jamaican and Indian. And when she did, like you mentioned, when she got on the ticket, then the minority vote actually went towards Trump, and there was a 10-point gain for Trump and a 10-point loss for Biden on all these national polls. So who are they trying, not to mention the fact that she's a prosecuting attorney. She's the former attorney general. So the crazy radical left-wing fringe that's doing the anarchy, the Antifa, the burn the streets down, tear up the Constitution, start over, they're not even winning any crowds over there because she's a prosecuting attorney that have thrown minorities into prison for using marijuana throughout her years as an attorney and as attorney general. So who are they trying to pander to with her?
Well, they are trying to pander to the black vote and also to the progressive vote, the real radical leftists. But the funny thing is, they're against anything that has to do with slavery, and her parents were slave owners.
Right.
They had 5 plantations and that. So she comes from a slave-holding family. So I don't think she'd be allowed to have any statues or any pictures of her parents in her office.
Yeah, got to tear those down.
Yeah, no kidding. But really, she is leftist on every issue there is, extreme left. She is not helping the ticket. And they are not winning with what they're trying to do. Let me talk about the black vote, because they want to put a black person on the ticket to help with the black vote. Why? Because without the black vote, they can't win.
Sure.
And typically, 95 to 100% of black American voters would vote Democrat for decades. And in 2008, John McCain got 4% of the black votes. Not many, but that's typical.
Sure.
In 2016, Trump was able to get 8%. He doubled it. And with that, he had enough to win. It made a difference in some places, and he won. Now, this time around, we were seeing numbers earlier this year that Trump had up to 35% of the black American voters lined up to vote for him. Right now, he has about 49% approval among black Americans, and he will likely get, in my forecast model, at least 42% of black American votes. That is phenomenal.
Wow.
And it also means Joe Biden doesn't have a shot.
No. I mean, if they lose that much of the
chance.
No, that's their base right there, is the minority vote to play the victimization, to try and keep them on the welfare, and the fact that the economy's been doing so well, the fact that Donald Trump has been praised by many inner city community leaders, religious leaders, the fact that he's been trying to do reforms in law enforcement and incarceration and trying to get some money actually where it needs to be in some of the inner cities.
He's done real things.
He's actually,
you're right. Record,
he's actually done real things.
They have a record of broken promises and unfulfilled promises. And Trump has a record. They achieved the highest unemployment numbers, the best unemployment, lowest, in the history of black Americans under Donald Trump.
No, that's very true. We're talking with Dr. Gerard Lamiero. Real World Socialism is the book. Great News for America is the other book. GreatNewsForAmerica.com is the website. Make sure to go and check him out. We got lots to discuss with him today when it comes to the DNC, the convention, the tickets going into the general election, some of the latest outlooks going into election 2020. All that and more coming up here on a Tuesday, The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show. And check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome into the Voice of Reason, 24 minutes past the hour. Thanks for hanging out the way you do each and every day. We appreciate it more than you can imagine. Trying to cram 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time, which is what we do. And thanks for hanging out no matter where you may be. Radio, TV, online streaming on the website at HooserReason.com. You can also email me, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. I love the headlines right now. Again, I'm soaking this up. They're losing it over Michelle Obama's speech last night, which I want to get into in just a little bit. They are saying that she drew blood. We have John Kasich that has endorsed Joe Biden as the Republicans, which I'm still trying to figure out the identity crisis on the Democrat side and who they're trying to actually pander to. Are they going to the crazy fringe radical left wing? Are they trying to just embrace their base, or are they trying to win over the 0.5% of Republicans that still refuse to support Donald Trump? Who are they actually trying to go with? Which we'll talk about probably after the bottom of the hour. But I do want to finish up this conversation briefly regarding the ticket of Joe Biden with Dr. Gerard Lamiero. He's the author of Real World Socialism and Great News for America, along with more Great News for America. His website, greatnewsforamerica.com. You can also find him on his social media as well. So here's the question for you. The fact that they're losing support, Joe Biden has said some ridiculously insensitive things to minorities. They desperately tried to bring a minority woman onto the ticket to win them over, and it actually backfired. Do they know the election's about over for them, or are they really delusional thinking that they can win this race?
Well, it's hard to believe they really think they can win because it ignores all the facts. The facts are against them.
Yeah.
In area after area that you look at, they just don't have anything going for them. And by the way, Americans don't like to vote for somebody who they don't think can finish office. That's classic. When you have somebody like a sick senator who's not quite up to 100% health, he loses an election.
Yeah.
Because Americans just don't want to put people to office that can't do the job. And he's coming across, and he's going to make more gaffes. As soon as he starts talking, he's going to be in trouble. They may be able to give him one canned speech that they rehearse 100 times, and they cut and paste and cut every mistake out, and or maybe fill in with dubbed voice or something else. I don't know how they'll do it, but they may get him through the convention. Possibly. But they will not get him through the rest of the campaign without making a gaffe. He just opens his mouth and makes mistakes and says things crazy like, 100 million women died or something. He'll say crazy things.
Yeah.
What is it, 120 million Americans died from COVID? I think he said that.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
And we all remember that, like on Super Tuesday, he called it Super Thursday and things like that. It's pretty funny.
Well,
so,
it goes right in line.
People laugh at him, but they don't vote for them.
Well, of course not. It goes right in line with the AOC mentality of when she came to Kansas here, actually, and said, we're going to flip the seat red. And, that's just what they do. I mean, that was a little gaffe, but we like to poke fun at it. But he makes so many of them that you're right. He can't get through this election. So does Kamala realize that she's going to be having to lift the majority of the baggage here and actually be the one out campaigning because he's not going to be able to?
Well, I think that's exactly what they plan to do. She'll be the spokesperson. However, her problem is she's got to live with her past. She's got to live with all of her wild positions that she's had. Like, for example, she thinks the Unabomber or the Boston bomber should be allowed to vote.
Yeah.
Somebody who tried killing Americans should be allowed to vote. She's in favor of felons voting.
Yeah.
I mean, her positions are so radical and strange that anytime she mentions any of her real opinion, unless she hides them, but even then somebody may actually ask her a question. You even have people like Chris Wallace, who's somewhat on the liberal side with his questioning usually. He's even said, I don't remember anybody not coming on a radio program before a national convention. Now, normally a presidential candidate would be there talking to him on the weekend at Fox.
Yeah. Let's hold that thought. Let's continue that when we come back. Plus, I want to shift gears and get into the convention going on right now. Who are they trying to pander to? We'll get into that in just a minute. It's Dr. Gerard Lamiero hanging out with us for the hour today on The Voice of Reason. It's a Tuesday. Don't go anywhere.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Great to have you today, hanging out for the ride the way we do each and every day, bringing more reason and excitement than a Conor McGregor MMA fight. Well, maybe not. I don't know. You guys, kind of awesome. Welcome back in, no matter where you may be, radio, TV, online streaming. What a day it's been. I still, like I said, I've been chasing my tail all day today, trying to get things done. There's been a lot going on. And maybe I'm bringing a little too much excitement. The Spastastic Show on the radio and TV. By the way, if you are watching the live streaming on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, we appreciate it very much. Leave a comment, say hi, share it onto your feed. We've been seeing the numbers go up and down and up and down, so people are tuning in and tuning out as they please. We appreciate that. Also, the podcast is going up here in just a little bit, so you can always tune into that. We also, of course, are on radio and TV, so thank you guys for carrying that as well. I had a comment, though, that they enjoyed my shirt if you're watching the live stream. So I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to try and pull it up. But it's nothing really special, but it is just a green shirt with a clover on it that has my name, Andy. And the reason is because that way I don't forget my name. See? It's a joke. Come on, man. Welcome back in on the program. Dr. Gerard Lamiero hanging out with us today. Great news for America, more great news for America, and his latest book at Real World Socialism. You can visit him online, greatnewsforamerica.com. You can see all his blogs and his predictions going into the general election of 2020, which they've been spot on so far, and it's pretty awesome. So let's go into the Democrat National Convention. We've had one day under our belts, the second day about ready to kick off. And first, before we get into some of the individual speakers, their entire message that they're trying to appeal to here is unity, that we're trying to bring the party together because they've been fractured. And we've talked about this for a long time about the fractured Democrat Party, and your prediction has been that they're going to embrace the socialism to the point it's going to become a socialist party, and the Democrat part of it is going to go to the wayside. But the unity that they're trying to bring, the progressive fringe, the blue dog Democrats, the blue collar workers, is it working right now, or do you think it's really just not doing them any favors?
No. Clearly, they have adopted socialism and Marxism, and many of them will say they're even communist. So these people are on the extreme left. They have left the old Democrat Party, the working class Democrats of old, and many other Democrats who at least believed in America. They may not be quite as conservative as conservatives. They might like big government a little bit, but, they believe in things like free speech. The people on the left don't.
Yeah.
The Antifa, the BLMs, if you don't agree with them, they'll beat you up, knock you over, attack you, destroy your property. And the same thing on college campuses. They'll start fires and try to shout down conservative speakers. If you don't agree with them, you have no right to free speech in the view of the leftists. And these people have turned left. It went from originally a liberal party to a progressive party, and most people didn't realize progressive meant progressing towards socialism.
Yeah.
Now they're there. They have adopted socialism. Their agenda is Marxist, socialist, and communist. They are supporting the radical elements of the left, which are Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They are avowed socialists. They are socialist trained. They've said it publicly. This is not hidden. I'm not making up things. These are what the people say they are. So I take them at their word. I believe them.
Sure.
And they have said they want to tear down this country. They have said they want to change the system. They want a fundamental transformation. They want a socialist communist country of some sort. They're not defining exactly what level of dictatorship they want, but that's what they want. Because ultimately, socialism makes a lot of promises, and when they learn that they can't create wealth without a private sector, which they try to do, they think they can run a country without a private sector, and they find out they can't. Then they start torturing people, coercing people, jailing people that don't do what they say, because they don't get anything done without power forcing people's action.
Now, here's the question.
It's not free.
Yeah.
It's not free. It's forced action that they do, and they wind up killing people. Millions of people have died thanks to socialism.
Well, of course, yeah. And I love when they talk about charity and trying to help the less fortunate by taxes and different programs. I didn't realize that, exactly, I didn't realize that forced charity through taxation was charity, because it's not, and they don't quite grasp that. So here's the question. With the progressive movement that is rising, the Antifa, the ones that are burning in the streets, rioting, protesting, looting right now, they're part of the Democrat Party. The Democrats have encouraged and embraced this. You saw the mayor of Seattle embrace it and say it was just going to be a summer of love at the autonomous zone, or the CHOP or CHAZ or whatever they tried to call it. You had the governors not doing anything. You had Portland, Oregon completely okay with what was going on. You see the Democrats completely, New York, they're all wanting to dismantle law enforcement, defund law enforcement. So they've embraced it, but now they're trying to, it almost seems like the old guard Democrats know that it's going that direction and don't want it to, which is why in the DNC, in the convention right now, you see John Kerry, and you see Bill Clinton, and you see Nancy Pelosi, and you see all the old school Democrats that have been running the party for so long trying to say, wait a second, we've liked this protest, rioting, anarchy kind of mentality, but that's not really who we are right now. Let's bring back the old school candidates to start talking again and try and bring some reason back into the party. Is that what they're trying to do, and it's just not working? Or are they trying to do it? They're trying to, but it's not working for them.
And it won't work. It's not working tonight. They're giving AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, 1 minute. The left is furious that they're only giving her 1 minute.
Yeah.
Because that's like playing down the leftist, radical, super-duper, radical, militaristic socialists.
Right.
I mean, those people are really bad, because they don't even want to obey law. They want to tear down buildings. These people are really bizarre. At least a lot of the other socialists, they want to do it gradually, like by laws, take away all your, tax you at 100%.
Yeah.
AOC would probably tax you at 90%. So she's almost there.
Almost there. That's right.
But at any rate,
but it's got to be above $10 million.
These people, yeah, right, sure. They say that for 5 minutes, and they find out they don't have enough money, and then they raise it.
That's right.
Or they cause the middle class to pay it.
Well, I just love that she came out. Yeah, she came out with that after she signed that $10 million deal with Netflix to make the documentary on her. So then, of course, it was anything above $10 million is the super rich, and we got to tax the heck out of that. But anything under that, well, I don't want that taxed as much, because that's how much I just signed on to make.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is the people on the left want to run everything. And most of the Democratic Party now caters to the extreme left, because they allow looting, they allow bombing, they allow Molotov cocktails, bricks to be thrown, police to be injured. Hundreds of police officers have been injured throughout the country in these so-called protests, which are really riots. And they've turned into riots everywhere, and there's just no reconciling with them. These people need to be brought to the court of justice, and the Democrats will not do it. So they support them. They're allowing anarchy and chaos in the streets in the hope that somehow Trump will get blamed for it.
They're going through an identity crisis, which is what you've talked about, what I've talked about for a long time now. They're not quite sure which direction to go as they embrace the anarchy and the extreme left progressive, even farther than what AOC actually is. At the same time, they're bringing in now Republicans into the Democrat National Convention to speak, like it did with John Kasich yesterday, to talk about embracing Joe Biden as a conservative and as an alternative for Republicans for Joe Biden. I can only imagine that the Democrats that are not part of the actual elected officials or the leadership of the DNC, the actual just voters on the streets, I'm sure they're not probably okay with this and not happy with this if they're going for more of the progressive mindset, are they? I mean, this isn't winning the Democrats over any more supporter votes, is it?
No, it isn't. It's losing votes. There are many, many people just dropping out, leaving the party, even keeping the affiliation the same, but just plain planning to vote for Donald Trump instead and for Republicans instead. And they're going to trot out 17 different, if you will, new age Democrats like AOC who are into Marxism, socialism, and communism tonight. And they're going to throw in people like Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton and John Kerry to try to say, oh, this is what the party is. You know, it's the grand old Democrats, the liberals from the past. But you know what? They have no power. They are not running the party. The party is being run by the leftists. And if you think it isn't, why are they allowing the militants to tear up our cities?
Right.
It's because the militants are in charge. The ones who want revolution, they want revolution. They'll use that word. They want to revolt against our system. They're against our system.
Yeah.
So they're in charge. They're not going to be able to pull off this game to say they're united. They're not united. They're losing people left and right, and the radicals are going to lose big time.
Well, of course, and that circles around to the original point we made at the beginning of the show on why they chose someone like Kamala Harris. While they try to embrace the minority vote, while they try to embrace the radical side of being the new fresh face that's going to embrace the crazy radical fringe, being a former attorney general that's thrown multiple minorities into prison for using marijuana, and then trying to say that she's going to be the one that's sitting there wanting to fund and support the defunding of law enforcement and go down that road. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And she really had a record that's not illustrious as either a district attorney or the attorney general. She was district attorney in San Francisco, attorney general for the state of California. She had a very weak record. She was soft on crime. She didn't go after any big crime. She went over like marijuana users, kind of small time, petty, easy stuff to do. She didn't tackle any big issues.
Of course not, because that's not the way she rolls. Let's take a break. We got one more segment left here. Dr. Gerard Lamiero, greatnewsforamerica.com is the website. When we come back, let's talk about the momentum from the Democrats from a virtual conference as opposed to an in-person conference, and Joe Biden going into debates with Donald Trump, if he's going to do it, and what we could see is final numbers going into the general election. All that and more coming up here on The Voice of Reason. It's a Tuesday. We got a lot to get to in one more segment. Stay right here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Can you believe it? It's one more segment left of the Voice of Reason today on a Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out, no matter where you may be. Radio, TV, online streaming, podcasting if you're after the show. Doesn't matter where you're at. We thank you very much. You can also email us, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, which we have some announcements on the Hooser Media Network itself as well. Some really cool stuff coming up in the very near future, so make sure to stay tuned in for that. Plus, by the way, if you're on Facebook, if you still use the Facebook thing, go to Hooser Reason, facebook.com/Hooser Reason. You can find the show, like it. We are like 50 or 60 likes away from hitting 2,000 followers on there, which is really cool. We've had like 300 new followers in the last week, so that's awesome. We appreciate that. But we're like 50 or 60 away from hitting 2,000. We're so close, and that bugs me because I'm one of those like OCD or whatever kind of guys, and I like to see the even number, so let's hit 2,000 on there. So go on to facebook.com/Hooser Reason and follow us on there, like the page, and we'd appreciate that very much. We got one more segment left here with Dr. Gerard Lamiero, author of Real World Socialism, also Great News for America. More Great News for America online at greatnewsforamerica.com. Also on Facebook as well at gerard.lamero, and you can follow him here there as well. Let's talk about the conventions here for the last few minutes of the show. And the Democrats doing it completely virtual, didn't want to deal with the COVID stuff. And I know that's more difficult to feel the energy and to rile people up, which I think we need. I love conventions. I love the like the Conservative Political Action Conference. I mean, those types of things refuel your political energy. They get you excited. They get you pumped up, and especially right before an election. I don't know that the virtual thing with a few speeches that are like 10 or 15 minutes long of people saying go vote for Joe Biden is really going to rally the Democrat base, is it?
Well, the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, is a yawner.
Yeah.
It's a sleep inciting. And I'll tell you, conventions to be conventions, they're supposed to excite the people, and you do that by being with people. You don't do it by isolating yourself.
Yeah.
I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. I think this is the most boring national convention that has ever been held in the history of the country. And I've been sitting through lots of them, even ones I didn't like, just so I'd have sat through them and learned what they were trying to say. This is the most boring convention there is. And even people on the left, people from the New York Times and other publications who you know where they stand and who they want to win, they can't stand it either.
Right.
Nobody likes it.
Yeah.
And now our friends on the real left, the militant left, they're upset because they're not getting enough radical talk out of these people. They're hearing too many words that say moderate or sentences with the word moderate in it. They don't like that.
Or Republican.
Well, that's something.
Yeah.
People like John Kasich, he's sort of like one of the rhinos, Republican name only.
Exactly.
And there are people like that. There are people like Bill Kristol, the never Trumpers. They were never for Trump. And I think the reason is very simple. They were part of the swamp. They had their place. They didn't walk on anybody's toes. If they were Democrats, they just sort of went along, got invited to the right cocktail parties, and were happy to get reelected and take whatever crumbs the Democrats would throw them. And then when they went and campaigned, they sometimes say, "Oh, I'm a conservative," and then they went back to Washington. And while they were still in the plane before they landed, all their conservatism disappeared.
Yeah, no
doubt. As soon as they
doubt.
got to Washington.
Well, exactly. Well,
and that's true of a lot of them. There are true conservatives back there who said they were conservative and stuck with it, but there are many who didn't stick with it.
No, there's so many of them, and it's. I think Donald Trump's began to weed some of them out as well because a lot of them couldn't just refuse to stand with Trump as well, and though they've lost a lot of seats as well. We got just about a minute or so left here, but as Donald Trump, I think, has smartly gone on the campaign trail and has a rally yesterday. He had one today, the same days as the Democrat convention, and he's getting just as many hits on social media as what they are, which I think is a good sign. Plus, people are actually able to show up to these as well. He's got momentum. The Republican National Convention has someone from the Trumps or about Trump every single night, where the Democrats only have Joe Biden the last night, and that's about it. Shows the Republicans have unity. The Democrats do not. If that's what's going into the general election, what do you think? And we got about 30 seconds, but your thoughts on what the final outcome is going to look like when it comes to this general election with a Biden and Trump ticket?
Well, forecast models are long-term models. My forecast model has not changed for months. It still shows Trump 348 electoral votes and the Democrat 190. So an easy victory for Trump.
Easy victory for Trump. Do you think that Joe Biden's going to show up to a debate with Donald Trump?
I tell you, I would think they're going to do everything to say he can't come. He got the cold. Maybe he'll get the COVID virus in time. I do not think he will show up because if he does, he's going to make a fool of himself because I don't think he can debate Donald Trump for 5 minutes, let alone an hour and a half or 2 hours.
That's hilarious. Dr. Gerard Lamiero, author of Real World Socialism, Great News for America. More Great News for America, greatnewsforamerica.com. We appreciate it very much, my friend. It's an honor. We'll get you back on the show again real soon. Until then, everybody have a great Tuesday. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, And check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.